Hello everyone, Ariam here, and welcome back to another episode of Not Dinosaur Days, because we are not talking about a dinosaur. We're talking about the clade Gorgonopsia. If you remember a good long time ago in the Not Dinosaur Days episode about Dimetrodon, you'll remember me discussing synapsids, which are kind of, sort of, your ancient ancestors, because they are kind of, sort of, the link between reptiles and mammals. Well, Dimetrodon were non-mammalian synapsids, meaning they were a little bit farther away from your ancestors compared to other types of synapsids. If we get a little bit closer to the mammal lineage, we end up with therapsids, which are a type of synapsid, but they also include mammals. Gorgonopsids are a member of this therapsid family. That was a lot of talk with apsid and opsid words, so what does that all mean? Basically, animals like Dimetrodon were kind of, sort of, related to mammals a long time ago, but animals like Gorgonopsid were a little bit closer to kind of, sort of, being related to mammals a long time ago. Therapsids like Gorgonopsids are a lot closer to modern-day mammals than non-mammalian synapsids like Dimetrodon for a variety of reasons, but one of the most important is their leg structure. Non-mammalian synapsids like Dimetrodon that skewed a little more toward the reptile had legs that skewed out to the side, like lizards and crocodiles today. But therapsids, including Gorgonopsids, had legs that were held directly underneath of them, like modern mammals such as dogs and cats. It's important to remember, though, that these animals are closer to mammals than other species at this time, but they are still not true mammals. And in fact, they still retain a lot of reptile-like features, including a Jacobson's organ, which is used by a variety of reptiles today to sort of smell the air with their tongue. When you see a snake flicking its tongue, it's allowing molecules to coat that Jacobson's organ and provide information to the snake about what's around it. Gorgonopsids existed right before dinosaurs started to evolve. They existed in the middle to upper Permian periods right before the Triassic. This means that the components for the evolutionary recipe of mammals existed even before the dinosaurs did, around 265 million years ago. There's a misconception that dinosaurs existed, and then at some point while dinosaurs existed, some of the first teeny tiny mammals popped into frame, and then eventually mammals became the dominant life form. But dinosaurs and other reptiles and mammals have been evolving in parallel for a very long time. Now, the first almost reptiles did exist before the first almost mammals, but once both of them existed, they were sister evolutions. They were beside each other the whole way. Once Gorgonopsids came into play, they started very small, around the size of a rat or a rabbit. But towards the end of their reign, they were huge, and very likely the apex predators of any environment they existed in. The largest of the Gorgonopsids, Inostrancevia, ended up being around 10 feet long and over 600 pounds in weight. Many times, later Gorgonopsids, again like Inostrancevia, end up being portrayed with a fur-like covering and whiskers, and that is in fact what I went for here. I tried to find a little bit more of a mammal-ish appearance than a reptile-ish appearance. However, the evidence for this is pretty wishy-washy. Gorgonopsids are believed to be homeotherms, which essentially means that they maintain a stable internal body temperature which is higher than the environment around them, but they are not considered true endotherms, or warm-blooded animals. The idea that these animals would have maintained a higher body temperature than their surroundings, which could have gotten pretty toasty, suggests that they would have benefited from things like sweat glands and a fur-like covering to help with thermoregulation. But there isn't evidence for this, or other things like whiskers, so it's unclear as to whether they crossed that mammal-ish line enough to have those structures. Gorgonopsids were mostly the apex predators of their environments, even continuing as the Permian period ended and the world became drier and hotter. However, they went extinct right as the dinosaurs were about to begin evolving into play during the Permian-Triassic extinction event. Massive amounts of volcanic eruptions led to an increase in temperature worldwide, as well as acid rain, increased greenhouse gases, and wildfires. This wiped out a lot of life at the time, including Gorgonopsids, but some of their relatives continued to thrive. While the line of the Gorgonopsids ended there, other therapsids did survive, including the teeny tiny cynodont, and eventually it was their descendants who would become true mammals. While the first true mammals were small and lived under the oppression of the dinosaurs, these mammals came from descendants that were the apex predators of their time. In fact, Gorgonopsids were so powerful that their ecological niches were only filled by theropod dinosaurs and crocodiles. So, anytime you're feeling a little sad or small, just remember that while true mammals, your true ancestors, did start very small and very hunted by dinosaurs, their ancestors were huge apex predators that could only be replaced by some of the strongest dinosaur species. You come from a very long line of survivors, and that should remind you to smile.